Shem Angel 60, Mitzrael. Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. This is Taliesin McKnight, and we've arrived at Shem Angel 60, Mitzrael. This angel is associated with mental illness and the healing of mental illness. So it's interesting that there are other angels. There are lots of other angels of the Shem HaMephoresh, the 72 Shem angels, that are associated with various kinds of healing. And Mitzrael, in particular, is associated with the healing of mental illnesses. Of course, any time that we talk about healing or whatever, we have to do a disclaimer. I make no promises for these angels. This isn't medical advice. These are spiritual practices that people are free to interpret what they want, educational purposes only. But the 72 Shem angels are associated with all kinds of things, all different aspects of life. Like this circle behind my head, it is a full circle. It includes all things. So Shem angel magic is considered to be a complete system because it governs all aspects of life. Every aspect of life, like the full circle, all aspects of life, the full gamut, is found within the 72 angels of the Shem HaMephoresh. Mitzrael, in particular, is associated with the healing of mental illness. So, the healing of mental illness. So, that's really interesting. Now, it should be obvious that, you're probably not going to be able to do a ritual and just have permanent healing or whatever. But working with Mitzrael can perhaps help to alleviate. A lot of people, they deal with mental illness as like a lifelong symptom. There's never really just a one-time fix-all for something like that normally. There could be. But if anything, Mitzrael can be worked with to alleviate symptoms. Perhaps to get through trauma. The Mitzrael can be worked with for that purpose. Also, liberation from oppression, deliverance from persecution. Those that are oppressed or held down, those that are persecuted. Maybe you have someone that is persecuting you. Mitzrael is all about raising up the oppressed. In fact, the divine attribute in Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Aegyptiacus is Deus. Deus sublevans oppressos, God who lifts up the oppressed. So in understanding the 72 Shem angels, we have the name, the attribute. The divine attribute is the quality of the divine that shines through the angel. So think of the divine attribute of each angel as the essence of the angel. The divine quality that like a light shines through each angel. So the attributes are very important. If you really want to understand the 72 Shem angels, then it's very important to understand the attribute. None of these things, the psalm verse, the attribute, the name, none of these things are there by accident. All of these things are like signposts that by meditating on the psalm verse, meditating upon the divine attribute, that these are like signposts that lead to the mystery of the angel. So we should think of the 72 Shem angels as like mysteries. So the psalm verse, the divine attribute, the name, these are like signposts. We meditate upon the divine attribute. We meditate upon the name, the qualities. And all of these things are like keys. They help to open up the mystery. But the mystery comes through direct experience. So the divine attribute, God who lifts up the oppressed. If we want to understand Mitzrael, it's very important that we understand this attribute. God who lifts up the oppressed. The attributes are very important. They show the essence of each angel. If we want to understand the angel, the essence of the angel is found in the divine attribute. So for Mitzrael, God who lifts up the oppressed. And the Psalm verse is in the Masoretic text. It's Psalm 145, verse 17. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. And in thinking about the divine attribute, God who lifts up the oppressed, and understanding the Psalm verse, the Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. If we really want to integrate the teachings of the 72 Shem angels, we want to understand the teachings, we want to understand the things that are embodied in them, then we should focus upon being righteous in our ways. What does the Psalm verse say? Now, this is just a suggestion, but my suggestion is to work within the divine attributes and the Psalm verse to really understand its mystery. The Psalm verse is the Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. Just like the last Shem angel had to do with God penetrating all things, all present. Just like with the last Shem angel, Harachel, we talked about the knowledge, bringing in the awareness that God is with us in all things. God is with us as much in the marketplace as in the temple. God is with us in the marketplace, in our daily interactions. That omnipresence of God is found in Harachel, the last Shem angel, that had to do with God penetrating all things. With Mitzrael, it has to do with being righteous in all your ways and holy in all your works. We can't, if we want to be elevated, we want to be drawn up to the angelic realm, to become more angelic, to be able to shine through those divine qualities into the world ourselves as divine vessels, then we should be noble in our deeds. We should be righteous in our works and our deeds. We should not oppress others. So these are kind of like the moral lessons, the lessons that we have with the Shem angels, being sure that we're righteous and holy in all our works. So having nobility, that goodness about us, making sure that we're doing the right thing. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. So I just suggest this for working with the 72 Shem angels as one way of working with them, to use the prayer rope and to repeat the name, attribute, psalm verse. Name, attribute, psalm verse. Name, attribute, psalm verse. This is the contemplative way to working with the Shem angels. I've been elucidating more on the contemplative way because we have the way of magic, we have the method of prayer, and then the contemplative approach. The name, attribute, psalm verse. So in this case, Mitzrael, the attribute, God who lifts up the oppressed. The psalm verse, the Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. So if you're working it with that, with the prayer rope, Mitzrael, God who lifts up the oppressed. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. Go to the next bead. Mitzrael, God who lifts up the oppressed. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. The next bead. Mitzrael, God who lifts up the oppressed. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. Next bead, Mitzrael, God who lifts up the oppressed. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. So doing this 72 times helps to connect with the Shem angels, the 72 angels of the Shem HaMephoresh, with the contemplative approach, which I have been talking about for the last year, over a year, that I've been talking about the Shem angels. Over the last year, I've talked a lot about the contemplative approach. Anyways, the office, so these are things that we see from the beginning of the tradition of the 72 Shem angels, at least over the last 500 years. We can look in Johann Reuchlin's De Arte Kabbalistica, published in 1517, and we see the psalm verse of Mitzrael, God who lifts the oppressed. And we see, we see the psalm verse. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. And the Masoretic text is Psalm 145, verse 17. And ever since Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus, published in 1654, we see the psalm verse and then the divine attribute, God who lifts up the oppressed. Finally, in the 1800s, we have the science of the Kabbalah. Now, it's interesting that this angel is associated with the healing of mental illness. And the deacons, you have to be careful with the comparison with the deacons because it does not always translate. And the deacons are not always obvious with the 72 Shem angels. But the deacon here is actually the sun. The third deacon, or the last 10 degrees of Capricorn, is ruled by the sun. And you do seem to have, a solar aspect of like healing. So the psalm verse, the Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. The attribute, God who lifts up the oppressed. What does the science of the Kabbalah say about the office? This genius is used to heal illnesses of the mind. So it heals mental illness, supposedly. And to be delivered from those who persecute us. So this genius is used to heal mental illnesses and to be delivered from those who persecute us. It has dominion over illustrious people who distinguish themselves by their talents and virtues. It influences the loyalty and obedience of subordinates to their superiors. The person born under this influence will bring together all the beautiful qualities of body and soul. He or she will be distinguished by virtue, spirit, pleasant disposition, and will have a long life. So putting this all together, breaking down this office, first of all, this genius helps with mental illness. Also being distinguished by your talents and virtue, breaking through oppression. Let's say that you're having a hard time in life and you're having trouble getting ahead. Let's say you deal with mental illness. Mitzrael helps with mental illness as part of the office, and also this angel helps to free us from persecution and oppression. It lifts up those that are oppressed. It helps those with a troubled spirit, and it helps them to achieve recognition for your talents and virtues. So all of us have a quality within us that is special, that has a purpose. We all have a talent. We all have something that makes us unique. And Mitzrael is about helping us to tap into that. So this angel heals mental illness. It lifts up the oppressed, frees from persecution, and it helps us to be distinguished by our talents and virtues. Also, many of the Shem angels have to do with order, with the obedience of subordinates to superiors. So this idea of hierarchy and order, this idea of the opposite of chaos, which is order. Let's say you're in a position of power and you're nervous in your job, or you're in some type of a position of power. You want to avoid people trying to rise up against you or whatever, right? So it influences the loyalty and obedience of subordinates to their superiors. Of course, with the Shem angels, like I talked about in my last Patreon video with the virtues, it's good to ask if what we're asking for is really just. Someone that wants to unjustly hold on to a position of power is very different. Remember, this is a Shem angel of freeing from persecution and oppression. If you are the oppressor, then that may not be what to ask for. You don't want to maintain a position if it's not for the best interest. So this genius is used to heal mental illnesses of the mind, or the mental illness, and to be delivered from those who persecute us. It rules over illustrious people who distinguish themselves by their talents and virtues. It influences the loyalty and obedience of subordinates to their superiors. It's really good with the 72 Shem angels when you arrive at an angel to really think about the office. Think about the office and think about those aspects of your life that relate to the office of the angel. So those parts of our lives governed by the angel, that's where the angel speaks to us through events. That is where the power of the angel comes through, or these different aspects of our lives. So really reflecting upon what is the office of this angel, what is the divine attribute, what is the name. So all of these things are like keys that together help to unlock the door of the mystery. So like I said, I think it's very good to really think about the psalm verse, really think about the name, really think about the divine attribute, and all of these things together are like signposts. They help to direct us to the mystery, and the mystery is found through direct experience. So anyways, yesterday was my birthday. Happy birthday to me. You know, it's your birthday. Hey, Shouty, it's your birthday. Okay, anyway, don't do that. So it was my birthday, so I'm a couple days late on this one. This is actually my birth angel, Mitzrael. This is my birth angel. And, so, you know, if we're doing the 5-day thing, it governs the next 3 days. So, Mitzrael. So, very awesome Shem angel, governs the last 5 degrees of Capricorn, Mitzrael. And like I said, it lifts up God, who lifts up the oppressed, is the attribute. The psalm verse, one last time, the Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. You know, and it's good to think about bringing holiness into all our deeds, our interactions with people. You know, we don't want to just say that we're spiritual people and then we're yelling at people in traffic, or we're treating people unfairly. Okay, so the Lord is righteous in all his ways and holy in all his works. And that's where we really reflect upon the psalm verse and the divine attribute, and we think about our own lives. And then finally, the divine Cabal. I'm quoting from Welcome Manuscript 3203. We're going through the different things with the angel throughout the centuries. The divine Cabal says Mitzrael governs from the 15th of January to the 19th inclusively. The verse from whence is derived his name is the 18th verse of the 144th Psalm. It's using the Septuagint numbering. Just is God in all his ways and holy in all his works. So anyways, that is Mitzrael. And if you go to my Facebook, I have the sigil. I have all of these details on my Facebook, on my Instagram, and then on YouTube. On YouTube, if you go to my channel and you go to the community section, you'll have all of these things. So the community section on YouTube, if you go to my Facebook, find Taliesin McKnight on Facebook, you could either add me or just follow, which is the same thing because all my content is public. So if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see where I have Mitzrael, and I have all the different things listed there. So anyways, that is it for today, and that is Shem Angel 60, Mitzrael. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see y'all in the next video. All right, have a great day, y'all.